Jake, good morning.
Mike, how are we doing today, man?
Doing well, man. Hey, so I want to talk today about overload, overwhelm, overcoaching, and how to not overconsume information. This is an information show, total disruption, right? But we want to teach people how not to be disrupted. I understand that sounds like an oxymoron because here we are trying to disrupt the whole world and get them to pay attention to the people that listen to us and the people that follow us and pay attention to us, of course. However, I've got to be honest with the audience, and I'm going to bring your expertise up to the front on this one. I really want to talk deeply about how to not overconsume, how to not overwhelm, and how to stick to this self-coaching model out there that is so popular. Go.
Oh, you nailed it with the first thing you said, man. You could mic drop it, call it a show right there of the difference between being disruptive and getting disrupted. You totally said it in the beginning with being disrupted. That's where this is going to come from. Like that's where I'm going to come at this is you getting disrupted in your business. So let's go to being overcoached as a first one. Being overcoached. I'm a professional coach. This is what I do day in and day out. I coach people every day, every single time. And when you feel like you're being overcoached, you're being consulted at. You're being consulted at. That's what being overcoached means to me, is somebody, not you, is telling you how to run your business rather than getting into your business and helping you walk your path. If they're consulting at you, you're being overcoached. I have fired more coaches because of that for me personally, physical coaches, life coaches, financial coaches, business coaches. I have fired them all because they're like, well, this is what works for me. Go do that thing. That works for you, but that may not be what works for me in my business. There's pieces of that are going to work. So overcoaching, first of all, is going to be when you're being consulted at. That's the first thing that's going to happen there.
So hold on, Jake. That is step one of the signs. Now, again, if somebody, let's say not everybody on this show here has a private coach. So, you can finish out your theme, but for overcoaching, it also goes with too much information consumption. So we are going to touch on that for those of you that are sending me questions right now that are blowing up my email.
Yeah. So, and that's you're 100% right, man. 100% right. So overcoaching is not necessary. And this is where information overload, overconsumption of weird information comes from. Guess what? You're getting coached whether you think you're getting coached or not. You have mentors, you have role models, you have people that exist in your life that you tend to listen to. Sometimes you shouldn't, that are saying, hey, that didn't work in my business. There's no way it's going to work in yours. That's their limiting belief, man. That's their limiting belief. You just got overcoached. You just got your consumption because you just heard. Someone just told you that you might look up to, that literally just told you that's not going to work for you because it didn't work for me. Well, you're not me. I'm not you. That may not be true. My dedication, my ability to disrupt in the industry is going to be different than yours. What didn't work for you, fine, let's unpack that. Why didn't it work? Maybe because you weren't doing the tasks, maybe because you weren't doing the work. And that's why it didn't work for you. So again, that goes into that. And information overload. Oh my God, is there so much stuff out there right now? Let's pick AI. Why not? Because everybody else is. From a consumption standpoint, which tools should you use? Should you use all of them? You can't. My God, you can't use them, but you got to pick one. At some point, you should pick one. But here's where I'm going to reiterate that. Pick one. Pick one. Use it. Test it. Break it. Fix it. Make it work. Pick one. Don't pick 20 tools because you're not going to use them. No different than CRMs. There's some people that have got like 3 or 4 CRMs. You're not using any of them. You have them. You're not using any of them. So that, from an overload of information, there's tons of people that are going to tell you this is what you should do because that's what worked or didn't work in my business. It's up to you whether you consume and ingest and digest that and apply it. The next one is going to be what tools are being thrown at you, what shiny object. We've called this for years. You and I talk about this all the time. Shiny object syndrome is, oh, that's working for somebody else, I should go do that. Oh, that's working for sales, I got to go do that. It's not necessarily true. You got to pick something. You've got to stick to it. This was where Michael was talking about discipline. Like, you can look at other people's outsides and try to compare your insides to them, and you're going to chase that shiny object. And it's so dangerous. You got to do what works for your business, and you've got to stay the course, man. You have got to stay the course. Are you going to have to make small corrections? Totally.
So let me ask you a question, Jake. So what's a good KPI, key performance indicator? I'm out here trying to figure out the right AI tool, right? And I'm listening to you here. I'm getting some good coaching from you. I'm going to go 1 to 2 AI tools. How do I know how long is too long before I add my second? I realize every coaching situation is custom. But is there a gut feeling? Is there a number of transactions? I mean, I like to get into some details for people, just a framework for somebody who's out there swinging it through the fences to get some information that's quality. Is it 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? Have you converted? Have you given this thing enough opportunity? 17 conversions. I know I'm jumping around, but what are some key performance indicators that it's time to either move off of something or now it's time to consume more information? So it's more from hey, I want to limit my jumping around and being disrupted, but then when is it a good amount of time to get disrupted again?
And you hit on it repeatedly there. Conversions. You nailed on conversions. And we got to know what's our end product, right? Regardless of the thing, the industry that you're in comes right down to is always called a widget, right? It doesn't matter what you're selling, doesn't matter what your service is, doesn't matter your product, whatever it is, just think of it as a widget, right? Business, the language of business is the language of business. When we say KPIs, we're referring to key performance indicators. These are the few touch points, like the timeline, whatever you want to call, that are, I need to pay attention to this because it is relative to this, it is relative to this. It always ends at sales. So like if you look at your goal for the end of the year, if your goal at the end of the year, 100 widgets, let's pick a round number for the sake of just convenience, and it's easy math to do on the fly, 100 widgets at the end of the year. Well, welcome to, we're 6 months through right now. That said, I should be at and or exceeding 50 widgets for the year. At this point in space, at this time, my goal is 100. I should be at least at 50, if not more. Now we look backwards at that, right? If you're new to business or wherever, you can create your KPIs relative on what's the industry tell me. If you are running through business, your KPIs exist. You have to go backwards in time and look at your activities. So let's say you said 100 for the year. Right now, I'm at 50. I'm on point. I'm at 50% of the goal for the year, 50% of the way through the year. Sweet. I'm on task. What did I do to get there? Before that, how many conversations, appointments did I have to get my 50 widgets? How many emails did I send out to get those appointments? How many phone calls did I have to make to set those appointments? And those will all create your KPIs moving forward. If what you're doing is working, you're already just reproduce what you're doing. If it's not working, and let's say you're at 25% of your goal for the year, you've got 25 widgets, 50% of the way through the year. Well, you've got to step that up. You've got to double down in the third quarter to be able to make that happen. What did I do the first quarter? I made 50 phone calls, which tells me I need to make 100. How many emails did I send? I sent 1,000. Tells me I need to make 2,000. You have to tie it to your end goal to be able to get there. That's the real key. Is you got to know this is a roadmap. It's a roadmap. You got to know where you're going to know how much gas you got to put in the tank.
Right. That's a fair point. So if I may give somebody a key performance indicator, if you guys like what you're hearing here, you can and want more in-depth help with KPIs and any of the stuff that we're talking about, let's connect and check in on our community at total-disruption.com. That's total-disruption.com. It's a fantastic community of like-minded individuals that are totally pushing forward to disrupt for business and in personal growth and development. So back to what we were talking about with these KPIs and how it works with coaching and how it works with implementing tools, because I like to make sure that we close loops here and we don't leave open loops. I know it's good for ratings to leave open loops, but I like to close them. So we were talking about here, you're talking about KPIs. So if I want to put that back into being overcoached, bring this together in a really quality content standpoint. So if I'm shooting for making 100 widgets a year, if I'm shooting for making $100,000 or 2.1 million, and I'm getting all this coaching, and I'm researching, reading, I'm trying all these AI tools. Maybe I think you answered my question earlier. Reference your key performance indicators of any of this crap actually doing any good, or are you just wasting time treading water, filling your mind with things you think are making life more efficient? I guess it comes down to managing time. I guess it comes down to managing these KPIs we're talking about and then cross-referencing them. I mean, somebody who's a kind of a mental all over the place like I am, I would probably need to check my KPIs every week or something like that to make sure that I'm not down the road going, hey, I've got 6 different AI tools, 4 different email systems, 2 different coaches. I'm following these rules. I'm posting on social media. I'm doing. And I don't have a lot to show for it except for a whole lot of busy time. I feel like that is a good thing to do is check whatever the KPI is in your business. So,
and you're on point 100%. 100, and I'm not surprised, right? That's why we're having this conversation. You got to know you for one. You have to understand, okay, when do I need to be evaluating each thing personally from a personality standpoint and for my business growth? You can hear lots of different things, like you should evaluate every 30 days. You should launch every 60 days, every 90 days. You can think about it from an investment perspective. How frequently do you check in on your investments to know whether they're working? Look at the stock market. Those guys that are playing that hard daily, they're watching that. And a lot of times hourly and by the minute, they're watching what they're doing so they can get the best return. So you have to understand what your game is. You got to understand what your game is to understand what it is and who you are. So for me, it's in my calendar. Listen to me say that again. It's in my calendar to review my KPIs every week. Fixed time, non-negotiable, in my calendar. Review the things. Get in and review my key. Where am I? What am I doing? That started from something I used to hear called, I don't know who came up with it first, but I've heard it a million times, something called the 15th protocol. And what the 15th protocol
sounds like a good marketing term. I wish I came
right. And I don't want to steal it from those that said it, because
we're gonna call this the 17th protocol.
We're gonna do the 17th or the 13th. What the hell? Right. We're gonna do it on those days because so on what it refers to is at a midpoint in a month. If I have a 30-day cycle in my business, on the 15th of the month, if I know my goal at the end of the month is 100 widgets, by the 15th, I should be at 50. If I'm not, what do I need to change to still hit my goal? We never change the goal. We change the activities leading to the goal. If we're ahead of goal, don't back off the activities. Now you get to change the goal. We always go up. We never change the goal down. We change the activities up. But that's where it's in the calendar. Mine's weekly. Like it lives in there every single week. Friday morning for me, every Friday morning is when I want to evaluate how did I do this week. Rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10. Rate the tool on a scale of 1 to 10. How did it do? Stuff doesn't live in my world if it's going under 5.
Well, hey, hold on one second. I mean, you could scrap all that Friday morning stuff. I like what you just said earlier. I think I got more value out of that one. Give me a second here on Friday. Did you just say you don't ramp the goal down, you ramp the activity up?
100%.
I'm going to open that up for a second here. Let's just be careful. This is what you always say to me about be careful. Be careful on what activities you're ramping up. I like that idea. I haven't heard that in a while. Don't change your goals, change your activity. However, I would say cross-reference your goals to activity. I know what you were getting at, but I want to make sure everybody hears it. Remember, no open loops here. We want to make sure that we know we're focused on the proper activity and from a coaching standpoint, and not just busy work.
No, and you're right. Thanks for pointing it out. You're totally right. So that's where, for me, I know all of my activities. Like they're all defined out. Call it there's 10 activities. Right. If I am scoring below, if an activity is scoring below 5, we quit doing that activity. If an activity is scoring 8, 9, and 10, we're going to ramp that one up. That's the activity we're going to increase to double down on. Right. And the same is true. Even if we're nailing goal, we're hitting it. If something's not working, we're not going to give our time to it. I mean, if we look at how much we are worth an hour, like with what Michael and I are doing, with where we're going and what our audience looks at, there's nobody in here that I believe is worth less than $500 an hour. Listen to that again, worth less than $500 an hour. If an activity you're doing is a $10 an hour task, farm it out, leverage it out, because that's not your highest and best use. That is not the thing you should be doing. It's scoring below. It's busy work for you instead of nailing the goals.
I can't tell you that I can't. I mean, you run our VA department for us, but I can't tell you what a relief it is. When you go from doing what your zone of genius is, or your thing that makes you the most money, or your happiness in your family life, and then all of a sudden things are kind of like done for you. It's almost like you came back to the hotel room and everything's straight. You didn't even realize that you opened up so much clarity and ease and efficiency just from having, for me, I'm smart because I picked the right partner who knows how to leverage VAs properly and quickly and efficiently. So for our audience out there, maybe something to think about, leveraging and everything Jake just reiterated. That is apex in terms of accomplishment, in my opinion. So any last words, Jake? We're kind of running out of time here. I mean, I feel like we hit every nail on the head that we could possibly hit. We closed all the loops. We talked about not being overcoached, how to get out of it, KPIs, looking at yourself in the mirror, knowing yourself. Any words of wisdom, any other resources you want to drop on people while we're getting some good quality coaching out of you right now?
Yeah, likely to some of the other times where we're not. What I would tell you, relative to evaluating KPIs and relative to evaluating your tools that are getting there, if it's not a yes, it's a no. If you have to look at it and try to justify it, it's already a no. Is it working? Yes or no? Yes, it's working. It's an 8. Is it working? Well, it's kind of, no, it's not working. Change it.
Thank you, Jake. My name is Mike Labersi for Jake Glendenning. You've been disrupted. Bye, everybody. See you next time.